Last spring, I stood in my garden with a stack of cardboard boxes and a shovel, questioning whether I'd lost my mind. My neighbor peered over the fence, clearly concerned that I was burying trash instead of planting vegetables. But 6 months later, that same neighbor was asking me for cardboard boxes, because what happened in my garden beds was nothing short of remarkable. I'd heard whispers in gardening circles about using cardboard as sheet mulch on top of soil, but I wanted to take things further. I was dealing with compacted clay soil that drained poorly, lacked organic matter, and frankly looked more like a parking lot than a place where anything should grow. Traditional amendments weren't working fast enough, and I was tired of waiting. So I decided to bury cardboard directly into my soil during bed preparation. I dug trenches about 8 to 10 inches deep, layered in cardboard sheets, covered them with compost and existing soil, then planted right on top. The idea was that the cardboard would break down over time, creating air pockets, feeding soil life, and transforming my dead dirt into living soil. What I didn't expect was how dramatically and quickly things would change. About 6 weeks after burying the cardboard, I was planting some late-season lettuce when my trowel hit something soft and spongy. Curious, I dug down a few inches and found the cardboard already beginning to decompose. But that wasn't the shocking part. The cardboard was absolutely teeming with earthworms. I'm not talking about finding a worm or two. I'm talking about dozens of fat, healthy earthworms congregating around and within the decomposing cardboard layers. These weren't there before because my compacted soil was essentially a worm desert. Cardboard creates the perfect environment for earthworms. It retains moisture without becoming waterlogged, provides food as it breaks down, and creates spaces where worms can move freely. These incredible creatures were doing what they do best, aerating my soil, creating nutrient-rich castings, and building the soil structure I'd been desperately trying to achieve. By late summer, I couldn't resist digging an exploratory hole to see what was really happening down there. What I found looked nothing like the soil I'd started with. The cardboard had broken down into a dark, crumbly, almost compost-like material. The clay soil that had been hard as concrete just months earlier now had a loose, friable texture I could easily work with my bare hands. The transition zone where cardboard met soil wasn't sharp or distinct. Instead, they'd blended together through the action of microorganisms, fungi, and those hardworking earthworms. I took samples from beds with buried cardboard and beds without it, and the difference was visible to the naked eye. The cardboard-amended soil was darker, held together in loose aggregates when squeezed, and had an earthy smell that signaled healthy biological activity. The control bed still had that dense, lifeless quality that makes gardening feel like hard labor instead of joyful cultivation. Here's where things got really interesting. I live in an area with unpredictable rainfall, where we can go from drought to deluge in a matter of days. Before the cardboard experiment, my clay soil either repelled water like a raincoat or held onto it so tightly that my plant's roots sat in waterlogged conditions. After burying cardboard, I noticed my beds achieved something I thought was impossible. They drained excess water quickly while still retaining enough moisture to keep plants happy between waterings. This seemingly magical property comes from the improved soil structure created by decomposing cardboard. As cardboard breaks down, it creates microscopic and macroscopic pore spaces in the soil. The larger pores allow water and air to move through freely, preventing waterlogging. The smaller pores and the organic matter itself act like tiny sponges, holding onto moisture and releasing it slowly to plant roots. During a particularly dry spell in August, my cardboard beds stayed moist 3 to 4 days longer than my regular beds, cutting my watering frequency almost in half. One aspect I hadn't fully considered was cardboard's role as a carbon source for soil microorganisms. Healthy soil biology needs a balance of carbon and nitrogen, often called the brown and green materials in composting. Most of what we add to gardens during the growing season is nitrogen-rich. Grass clippings, vegetable scraps, manure, and growing plants themselves. Cardboard provides a slow-release carbon source that feeds beneficial bacteria and fungi over an extended period. As I observed my beds throughout the season, I noticed less nitrogen deficiency in my plants compared to previous years. The sustained microbial activity from decomposing cardboard was helping to cycle nutrients more efficiently, making them available to plants when needed. This also meant I didn't need to add as much commercial fertilizer. The biological activity in my soil was doing much of the work for me, breaking down organic matter and making nutrients plant available through natural processes. The real test of any garden technique is how your plants perform, and this is where I was genuinely shocked. My tomatoes in the cardboard amended beds produced nearly 30% more fruit than those in regular beds. The plants were more vigorous, with thicker stems and deeper green foliage. They also showed better disease resistance, likely because healthier soil leads to healthier plants with stronger immune systems. Root vegetables were another revelation. Carrots that I grew in cardboard amended soil were longer, straighter, and easier to harvest because the soil was so much more friable. In previous years, my carrots were often stunted and forked because they hit hard clay pockets and couldn't push through. This year, they grew like they were supposed to, reaching depths I'd only seen in gardening magazines. Even my leafy greens seemed to benefit from the improved soil conditions. Lettuce, spinach, and kale grew faster and stayed productive longer, probably because their roots could explore a larger volume of soil for nutrients and water. Not all cardboard is created equal for garden use. Through trial and error, I've learned that plain brown corrugated cardboard works best. This is the kind you get from shipping boxes, appliance boxes, or packing materials. The corrugation creates those perfect air pockets that facilitate decomposition and provide habitat for beneficial organisms. I avoid cardboard with glossy printing, plastic tape, or heavy ink coverage. While small amounts of colored ink are generally considered safe, I prefer to stick with plain cardboard to avoid any potential contaminants. I also remove all tape, staples, and plastic labels before using cardboard in my garden. Waxed cardboard, like you might find on some produce boxes, takes much longer to break down and can create water-repellent layers in your soil, so I skip those entirely. The goal is biodegradable material that will integrate into your soil ecosystem, not create barriers. If you're ready to try this technique, start with a small area so you can observe the results without committing your entire garden. Dig your trench or bed to about 8 to 10 inches deep. Layer your cardboard sheets in the bottom, overlapping pieces by several inches to prevent any gaps. You can wet the cardboard first to help it start breaking down, though this isn't strictly necessary. Cover the cardboard with a layer of compost if you have it, then replace the soil you removed. You want at least 3 to 4 inches of soil covering the cardboard, so your plant's immediate root zones have good soil contact. You can plant right away. The cardboard will begin its decomposition process beneath the surface, while your plants establish above. For the first few weeks, water regularly to keep the cardboard moist and encourage decomposition. After that, maintain your normal watering schedule. The magic happens slowly over months, so patience is key. This simple experiment transformed not just my garden beds, but my entire approach to soil building. Instead of fighting my soil conditions with expensive amendments and constant inputs, I'm working with natural processes to create the living soil that every garden deserves. If you found this article helpful, subscribe to the Soil House YouTube channel where I share more soil building experiments, gardening successes and failures, and practical techniques that actually work in real gardens. Share this with a fellow gardener who's struggling with poor soil, because sometimes the best solutions are literally sitting in our recycling bins. Let's build better soil together, one cardboard box at a time.